Welcome to episode 3 of Project Delta. If this is your first time here, please make sure that you've listened to the English audio track first. Thank you. I want to do this episode a bit differently and let you know that it will be available until March 12th at 5 p.m. So now you know how long this episode will be around. But do you know how long you're going to be around? Yeah, I didn't think so, but if you did, do you think you'd live your life any differently? The average lifespan is a little over 75 years right now, but people live longer than that, and they also live shorter than that. The most common cause of death is heart disease, along with many other age-related ailments, meaning there's a pretty good chance you know how you're gonna go. But most people don't think of that. I mean, a lot of people think of what they might be told if all of a sudden the Grim Reaper came down and told them how they were going to die. And most imagine it being something like a car accident or the wrong end of a gun. But in reality, they would probably just be told that they'd have a heart attack and pass away in a hospital. But that's expected. Something like an accident that sneaks up on you out of nowhere seems more interesting, which is ironic that the Reaper would then be telling you the time of the thing that often gets you when you don't know. Would that then make the news any different than what we already know is the most likely end for us? Why do we treat knowing that an accident will occur in a different light than knowing that we're likely to pass away in a hospital surrounded by loved ones? A lot of the time when those stories are told and the person learns how much longer their clock has left on it, they immediately start to live their life differently. But if they were told information they likely already knew deep down, what would they do? I mean, statistically, most people listening to this will die of age-related disease around their 70s or 80s, so we kind of know how long our clock will last. So why would knowing the exact time make a difference? Should it make a difference? Would you be doing things differently if you know how much longer you had left, no matter how much time that was? I feel like nowadays so much of our time is taken for granted, spent on things it probably shouldn't be, and spent doing things we won't even remember in a few minutes. We ignore the little joys of life to make times for things that don't matter. Our time is the one thing that is truly finite, and yet we treat it like anything else that we can just get more of because it doesn't feel finite. And I think that's the reason why so many people imagine learning when they'll die. Because if you were to tell someone the exact amount of time they had, they might be more careful with how they spend it. They might actually use it for things that would make them happy, and I think that would apply even if that finite amount of time was a lot more than they might expect. Even if you were told you'd live to be 100 years old, I think you'd still live differently if you knew that, and you'd treat your time as though it was more finite, even if it was a lot more than you might have originally expected. But that shouldn't be the case, because the truth is, even if you don't know the exact time, you likely have a good guess. I think everybody does, and yet we still live like we'll live forever or like we'll be able to buy more time. But infinity is an illusion. Nothing truly lasts forever, which is why we should appreciate everything we have in the moment. I mean, if you were immortal, how do you think you'd spend your time? What do you think you'd do differently if all of a sudden you were told you didn't have a timer? Would you even live differently? Would the change be greater than if you were told when your timer would end? I mean, on paper it would make more sense that the bigger change would occur when you learn you'll live forever, considering it's a lot further from your current situation than the other option. But I think that the truth is, not much would change. Living as though your clock is broken is what most people already do, so why would being told it change anything? 2.5 billion seconds is about as much as you're gonna get, which sounds like a lot, but it is still finite, along with everything else. So do me a favor, at least for today, live like you know how much time is left. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As I mentioned before, the next one will be releasing March 12th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then.